Panther Nation, welcome back to Inside the Jungle, your weekly show discussing all things Bay Area Panthers football. I'm your host, Christina Tetreault, and I'm here in Morgan Hill outside of Sushi Confidential, and I'm about to sit down with head coach Rob Keefe to break down last week's game. Unfortunately, the first loss the Panthers had of the season, but we're also looking ahead to the next game as the Panthers travel to Northern Arizona to take on the Wranglers. Let's go. Coach, thank you for joining me here today.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So I say we start to dig into this food because we are going to have a nice long convo about some football.
Sure.
So I hate to start things off, but you already know, so I'm not really the bearer of bad news. We had our first loss.
We did.
First and foremost, how did that feel?
It didn't feel good. It didn't feel good. No, but it was it was a game that I think we're going to look back at the end of the season and we're going to say that it was we were grateful that it happened. I know that's hard to say right now because it's still fresh. But at the end of the day, you know, the goal is not to go 16-0. The goal is to win a championship. And sometimes you have to have these resets, these realigns to get you back focused.
Now, what does a loss so far mean to you, and what does it mean for the players and for the team?
Well, it means that we have to, you know, look within ourselves, you know, and we have to dig a little bit deeper. You know, Vegas, they kicked our butt, you know, plain and simple. They came in, they were prepared. You know, the offensive coordinator of Vegas was the head coach of the year last year. You know, really good offensive coordinator. The head coach is also the general manager. They haven't made the playoffs in a few years. I know the pressure is on them, and I mean this respectfully. You know that their sense of urgency is high. They did a great job in recruiting. Their personnel is great. They're fast, they're physical, and that's the barometer now that we have to obviously measure ourselves against. And we came out slow. We came out sluggish. We didn't start fast. We gave up a touchdown where we could have got a stop. We got stopped early. Before you know it, we were down, and we were never able to regain the lead, and things got out of control. And it's one of those things where we dove deep this week in the film, and you know, looked within ourselves to see how bad we really wanted it. So it's a gut check, and you know, that's a cliche thing to say, but I think ultimately it's going to help us in the long run.
Now, this was definitely the tale of two undefeated teams, 1-2 in the league.
Sure.
So there was obviously a lot of anticipation for the game. One of our first home games in quite a while as well. With all of that being said, there was a lot of pressure going into it. Do you think that the pressure impacted the players at all with that?
No, I think pressure busts pipes, pressure makes diamonds, you know, and you know, whether it was pressure, you know, whether there was a better team, whether it was better schematics, was it the fact that we just didn't rise to the occasion. You know, at the end of the day, I just think we laid an egg. We really did, and it was good. I mean, in my opinion, it's hard to say that in the moment because you're so ticked off that you lost a football game, and you're mad in the way that we lost. I felt like, you know, the guys, you know, they didn't give up. You know, they worked hard, but at the end of the day, we weren't as prepared as they were, you know, and that's at the end of the day, that's on me. There's a lot of accountability that goes in, and a head coach, I got to prepare these guys. We got to make sure we have the right guys on the field. I'll never use injuries as excuses or suspensions as excuses. That is never going to come out of my mouth. Whoever's on the field, we feel like they need to, you know, continue the expectation of the high level that we have here. But also, too, to win a championship, you have to go through really quality teams. And Vegas came in and they were on a mission, and you felt it from the jump. And you know, within a minute, you know, I was looking at the whole team like, we better wake up because this is going to get a little bit out of control, and it did, unfortunately. And you know, the score could have been a lot worse than it really was.
Oh, it definitely could. I mean, leading into halftime, it was not looking hopeful. What was the conversation happening at halftime? In the locker room, and then what was the big goal for the third quarter? Was there still hope that could be turned around?
No, look, we got a third quarter problem, and offensively, defensively, as a team, we're going to fix that this week. We really do. You know, we came out again sluggish. We got punched and we didn't punch back. I mean, that's really as easy as you can say it. You know, if we got a tackle there on the kickoff that we gave up a kickoff return to the house, you know, for 6 points, if we stop them before the half, we're down by a possession. We get the ball coming out in the third quarter. If we score, now we got a tie football game. Things are a lot different. You know, we gave up an easy kick return to the house right before half, so we go down 2 possessions. We come out with the ball, and we get stopped coming out, which is just it's a problem. And you know, my job is to make sure these problems don't persist. And then all of a sudden you're down by 3 possessions because they scored off that stop that they got, and they kind of steamrolled from there. And so, there's a third quarter problem. There's an execution problem. there's a personnel problem. We have to figure this out. We got to make sure we got the right guys on the field, and we got to get the right guys back healthy. The guys that now have their opportunity to step up because guys are injured. Hey, let's do everything we possibly can to win these football games. And so we're going to get this right, but it's a total reassessment of what we're doing. I don't think it's a panic. I really do believe we got the right guys in the building, but there's got to be a sense of urgency when we play the teams that we're playing every week.
Now, we knew, even discussing this prior, obviously, to the scoreboard as well, we knew, or the rankings, if you will, we knew Vegas' strengths. We knew that they were very strong. We knew they were athletic. Every team has a different schedule as well. What would you say were some of the unexpected strengths that Vegas brought to the field that really were hurting our performance?
Well, I mean, look, we scout our teams very well. We have, great coaches that prepare our players, accordingly. We know who we are. We know who they are. They did everything that we thought they were going to do. We just didn't perform at the level that we're expecting of our players. We didn't coach at the level that I'm expecting the coaches to coach at, myself included. I'm is the most at fault of this because I got to make sure this team is prepared properly. But yeah, we got a great quarterback. They got a great system. They're creative on offense, defense. They're fast. They're physical. They're long. They disguise their coverages really, really well. Their defensive line gets after it. They did everything that we thought they were going to do. We just didn't. We didn't come to play, and I hate saying that. Leg an egg, take it on the chin, whichever cliche you want to say.
But take it on the shin.
Take it on the chin. Take it on the chin.
Okay, that makes
sense.
And
now here's the question. Now it's a matter of how we get up. How do we regroup? I'm really curious to see how we're going to come out this week in practice. What are we going to do to play against Northern Arizona? Is this going to be a hangover effect where you just can't gather your own emotions, or are you going to gather yourself and continue to move forward? And that starts with me in terms of how we're treating our players throughout the week. We're not going to berate them. We're not going to put them down. We're going to build them up. And but yeah, we gotta step up here, and we want to make sure this gets fixed quickly.
How do you remedy that? What was the action plan from Saturday night to now to the next game?
Accountability, honesty, reflection, and that's what you do as a coach. You go back, you watch the videotape, you watch the film, you make sure that everybody is aware of what they did right, what they did wrong, what we can do better. And if you have the right people in the building, which I really believe we do, the attention to detail gets even better. And everybody, if you take ownership and you're part of this, I really believe that if you have the right people in the building, which again I believe that we do, then you're able to fix it very quickly. And there's no finger pointing. I was really proud of that. Everybody knew, and there's a lot of standing up. Guys will stand up and say, look, man, I could have done this better. A lot of apologies going on, which they don't need to do. But I do appreciate that. The guys are going to sit there and say, hey, look, I could do this better. I expect more of myself. You expect more of me. There's a lot of honesty going around. And so, that's the first step. And now it's about getting back to work. And so I tell the guys, look, I don't need my butt kicked, kissed at practice. I don't need any of that. I just need production. And that's what professional sports is about, where we need guys to produce. And so I'm excited for them to step up.
In regards to the length of the season and getting really, really close to halfway, I mean, it's already wild to think they would be leading into what, Game 6? Game 7.
Game 7.
Game 7.
Yeah.
So we're almost at the halfway point. How much does exhaustion play a part of this?
Well, again, we're never going to use excuses. I think when you have a younger team, which we do, when you have younger players that understand the length of the season, you're talking about 16 games in the regular season. At the end of the day, they're only used to playing X amount of games in college. And so now you have to train them, you have to teach them. This is a long season, so you have to kind of almost compartmentalize one game at a time, and you can't kind of, put a perspective in their minds where it's like, hey, you're going to be here for 150 more days. That'll just kind of wear them out mentally. So one game at a time. But how you do it is you create these pockets within the week of, rest and hydration and massage therapy and chiropractors, and we have great strength and conditioning coaches, great athletic trainers. Get your rest, kind of identify when they need the rest. Hey, we'll start practice a little bit later so they can sleep in. I mean, you have to do this to make sure their bodies are able to withstand a very, very long season, and you just have to be smart. But at the same time, we got to practice at a high level. We got to have great tempo and great pace in practice. So there's a fine balance, but as a head coach, you have to adapt to whatever the situation kind of might present itself at that time.
Now, we've already talked about some of the heavy hitting points in regards to the first loss of the season, like you were saying, the accountability. Let's go to some of the high points. There were also some, not just really great plays,
Sure.
some really great consistency. Let's talk about some of the high points that you saw. I know we had some standout plays. BJ had a really great interception. We obviously had a really great catch as well that landed on, I guess, the announcer's table.
Sure, yeah.
Out of the stands.
Yeah,
It looked,
excellent
honestly,
catch.
looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
But what were some standouts for you as a head coach, whether it was on the field or off the field?
I think almost like a parent, you look at your children in a way, and I told him this. It's like, now look, I'm not that old, but at the end of the day, that's how you feel sometimes with these guys. You love them so much, and I care about them. And Vegas was kicking the crap out of us. They really were, and it's hard for me to say that. I haven't had a butt kicking like that in a long time. But sometimes it's necessary. And for me, what I was proud of is how they continued to stay with it. I think that was the most proud. They didn't stop fighting. They worked their butts off. They were engaged in the game. We got an onside kick there at the end of the game. They still realized we're going to still compete. We're not going to give up. We're not going to quit. With that being said, you kind of have to feel the energy that's on our sideline. I think guys knew that time was ticking, time was running out. There's only so much you can do, but they really believed that they could still possibly win the game. And hey, look. The offense at the end of the game, we ran a hurry-up offense. And in the headset as coaches, it's a tough thing to say when you're probably going to lose because there's 4 minutes left and you're down by 3 possessions. There's only so much you can do based on the timing of the indoor football game. We're saying let's practice. Let's get good in this moment. If we were down by 3 possessions and we had to win the championship game, what would we be doing here? And it was hurry-up offense. I mean, let's make our extra points. Let's go for 2, whatever it might be. Let's get onside kick. So there were things that we were working on even though we were losing, to benefit and perfect if they do happen to come, across the table later on in the season. So I was happy about that. I was happy that nobody really got down on each other. Everybody was together in the foxhole, even though, it kind of looked like it was, dire straits there.
What would you say is the situation you were most proud of that the men were able to execute?
Well, I think I would say that. I mean, not to overtalk it, but again, no finger pointing. That's a really big deal. I think we know we have a good team, but if we're going to be great, if we're going to be elite, at the end of the day, it's how we treat each other. It's how we act. It's how we come to work. It's the attention to detail stuff. So, I think the most proud that I am, if you full circle it, is, seeing the response to a loss already, seeing how early everybody was in the building.
Right.
It's very easy as anybody, as an individual to, you have something bad happen to you and all of a sudden everything else, sucks in your life, and so that's what we talk about. The food doesn't taste any different just because you lost. The sun still shines. You're still, you still wake up in the morning. You're not dead. Everything's going to be okay, kind of thing.
That's great.
Without a doubt. You're waking up. Let's get back to work.
Right.
But if you're, all of a sudden, it's
sulking in it, you feel like everything is raining.
Without a doubt, we don't need that kind of stuff here. Let's get back to work. Let's be a grown up here. And I'm proud that the guys are, and they got a salty taste in their mouth. They really do. And so it's nice to see that. It's because I hate losing. Obviously you can see my demeanor in this interview. It's just it's annoying, but it fuels you. And all my failures in my life have fueled me to be successful. So it's as crazy it is to say. I would suggest parents and teachers or whoever coaches. Failure is part of the process to be successful, and you have to go through these moments to really see how bad you want it.
Let's lead into next game.
Sure.
Northern Arizona. You're also, what would you call that? Alma mater of
former team,
former team, alma mater of professional sports. So that is going to be our next away game this upcoming week. How are we now preparing? Not to emphasize this. Not after a loss. How are we preparing regardless?
Well, look, after you lose, the sense of urgency is greater. That's just how it goes. And Northern Arizona lost to San Diego. They're 4-2. We're 5-1. This is where the standings start to matter. Anybody that you play in division, in conference, it's a big game. And they're all big games. They really are in professional football. That we don't play 180 of these like baseball does. We have one game a week, and every game matters. And so Vegas is 6-0. We're 5-1. Northern Arizona is 4-2, and so we're all right there. We're all clumped together. So for us to keep now pace with Vegas, we have to win this football game. And so, but Northern Arizona knows that too, and we know each other very, very well. Coach Moss, the head coach there, is an excellent coach. We've won 2 championships together for our time in the Arena Football League and our time in the Indoor Football League. We coached together for 4 or 5 seasons now. So we know each other, and so there's a familiarity there. We love each other, but we hate each other now. You're right. I mean, that's just how it goes. But there is respect there, but there's not fear there. This is going to be a battle. Well, make no mistake about it. Rod Windsor, offensive coordinator there. We won a championship together. Excellent offensive mind. So. There's all these battles, and we know each other really well. They know us really well. There's a lot of familiarity there. They have a great roster. They're 4-2 for a reason. To go up there in Northern Arizona on the road, sometimes it's good to get away after a loss where you can just kind of break free. All we got mentality. But again, altitude is a big deal up there.
Right.
That is a huge. Here in San Jose, in the Bay Area. I mean, we're sea level. We're about to be a mile high, and that is no joke. And
you're also not going straight to Phoenix or Tucson. I mean, you're going all the way up.
We're going all the way up. So we fly into Phoenix, and then what we do is we drive, because Prescott Valley in Northern Arizona, it's a very hard place to fly into. So you fly into Phoenix, and then we bus up 2 hours, and I mean, it is a straight incline into Prescott Valley. So when I was there, I coached there for a season. We won a championship as a Northern Arizona Wranglers coaching staff before I came here to win a championship last year. So very fortunate to have back-to-back championships, and one was there. And altitude played a big factor in there. I mean, they take pride in that. So we're going to have to go up there. We're going to have to make sure that we're in shape, and that's part of playing. And so if you're not in shape, there's a concentration issue, there's an oxygen issue, there's a fourth quarter issue, there's an overtime issue, and so we got to make sure that we're just prepared to battle all the way to the end of the whistle, and we'll see again another physical and mental test, on the road.
There's also a reason a lot of the teams in the Valley, in Phoenix, go up to Prescott Valley to train.
Yes.
Just in regards to different altitudes. So obviously, us coming at sea level is a way greater incline from that. All right. Leading into some more fun excitement. These away games, very bonding for the team. So there's a great sense of camaraderie. What are you looking forward to most for the guys to experience after this?
Hopefully I'm not over talking it. It's almost like, one thing that my mother has always, complimented me on, which I love. She don't even know this really, but I think the biggest compliment I get from her is just my resiliency, and just in life in general. And I think that's a trait that you have to learn. I think as a person, I don't think necessarily that's something that you inherit. I think mental toughness and resiliency and overcoming adversity is just a learned trait. I really do believe that, and I'm excited to see what these guys are going to learn from this experience. We got our butts kicked in Vegas. How do you respond in life is a big deal. And I'm really, really excited for an opportunity to get back on the field with them, for them to show everybody what they're made of. And I think that's a great, badge of honor to show how hard you're going to work after you might have been embarrassed or not did your best or maybe failed on a test, but not to let that obviously define you. And so professional athletes are always excited to compete again. So I'm excited for that. I'm excited to go on the road. I'm excited to see guys really accept the challenge and rise to the occasion.
What are some of the strengths that Northern Arizona is going to bring outside of their coaching staff and outside of even just the change in athleticism or the possible difference in athleticism because of just the altitude change? What are strengths that they have that you guys are preparing?
Yeah, look, I think every team we're representing, these are really good teams. Everybody's well coached. Everybody has the similar skill set in terms of what they bring to the table. I think the biggest thing that Northern Arizona does is, they coach their guys up well, and then their guys believe in their coaching staff. And so they're going to try to out-formation us. Their offensive coordinator is extremely creative. They found themselves a quarterback who they really, really like. It shows the talent level that they have as coaches because this is their third quarterback in 3 years, and they've been successful every year. So it's really, in a league of 1 year contracts, you have to have really good coaches that can consistently coach new guys year in, year out, and to make your team successful. Physical defense. They have the reigning defensive player of the year in their offense or their defensive line in Tremont Lofton. He's gonna do his thing, and we got to make sure we neutralize him. And a lot of good receivers flying all over the place. Good offensive line. So they do a lot of good things well. They have a great kick return and probably the best kick return in the league. So we got to make sure that we've, in the last 2 weeks we've given up a kick return to the house. So there's things that we have to work on, and we can't let them obviously have success in those areas for us to be successful this week.
What are some of the strengths that you're looking forward to us bringing to the table for them?
Well, I think, look, not to give the game plan away, but, for us, I just want to execute. I want to execute. I want to get off the field on third downs or third and fourth downs. I want to make sure we hit all of our extra points. I want to make sure that we're great in the red zone, both on offense and defense. I don't want to turn the ball over anymore. I'm getting sick and tired of that. I want to make sure that our penalties are low, and everything that our players know. Like, we have to execute. And for us, it's offensively, one play at a time. Take what the defense gives us, score on every possession. Defense, get off the field, get our 4 stops that we need to get every single game. Make sure that we're running down on our kickoff full speed. Make sure we have good kick returns, get out to at least the 15 to 20 yard line. Put our offense in good field position. So there's a lot of our things that we need to check off the box that we didn't check last week that we normally do. And so it's just about getting back on track and hitting all these measurables that we feel are going to help us win the football game.
Now, when it comes to rest,
Yes.
how is the team helping all the players learn to prioritize that rest, especially getting to this critical part of the season? What are different methods of that?
Well, I think the biggest thing is when you have to still get repetition because you have a lot of new guys out there. And again, no excuse, but there was 4 new guys on the defensive side of the ball that were playing. And how do you rest but get the proper reps that you need? And so every team is going through this right now. Every team is kind of catching the injury bug. Every team has some new players. Even our front office, like there's more guys that I'm introducing to the front office too that they have to put on the program. It's like the program's getting longer and longer because injuries are stacking up. And so how do you rest yourself throughout the week, but how do you get the necessary reps that you need to do to perform? So it's a lot of mental stuff. So it's a lot of tests, it's a lot of quizzes, it's a lot of board work, it's a lot of film work. The players are taking it upon themselves that when they're away from us, hey, you all live at the same apartment complex. Hey, why don't you get together, have an extra film session for an hour or two, start to kind of create that camaraderie and that synergy that you need to do to be successful. And so they're learning how to be professionals. And so for me, where I'm living 18 to 20 hour days, these guys are doing the same thing, but like they have to be, and I say this in a positive, they have to be selfish.
Right.
And selfish means you have to get your rest. You have to get the proper nutrition in your body. You have to go to the pool. You have to go to the ice bath. You have to get in the gym. You have to make sure you're stretching. You have to make sure you're watching film. So sometimes, again, when you lose, it kind of kicks all those priorities into gear, and you start to reset and say, look, I don't want to feel that way again. I don't want to feel that way again. So what are you going to do now? And so it's going to work to our benefit, as tough as it is. But the guys are recognizing that when you have these times to rest, get your rest, get off your feet, because Saturdays matter.
It really sounds as though this is the big mental turning point.
Sure.
Again, even outside of the element of a loss, just the fact that we're getting to that middle portion of the season, guys are tired, there's injuries. What is one way that the team is working on camaraderie, knowing that we need to work on that just the camaraderie with the new players entering, playing with each other for the first time? How are they doing that on and off the field?
And so, look, their success is our success. Our success is their success. New guys come into the building. Everybody has to help everybody be successful. So this is it's a very a new kid at school type of feel. So if a kid is coming into class and he happens to come into class 2 months into the season, how are the new kids going to be accepted by the older kids and or the kids that have been there for a while? You have to accept them, and you have to make that person feel good. This isn't, this is my territory. So you can't be territorial. Hey, they're part of your family now. And so this is the kind of things that we talk about. So how are you going to help me and the rest of the coaching staff get this guy up to speed? And so that's what happens. So really a part of this league, because you have such a small roster size, if somebody goes down and you have to call somebody in that is not familiar with our system, how quickly can we teach this player our system? And the players have to be involved in that. They have to talk. They have to communicate. They're living with them. They're eating with them. They're sharing a locker space with them. They're on the field with them. And so how quickly can you do this? And so that's where the tests and the quizzes and all this extra work comes in. You go on the road. We purposely design players to be in hotels and rooms with other players because they can talk the whole time. So it's very well thought out. It's very intentional. Ultimately, it's all going to pay off. But how do you get a guy up to speed is basically just a culture that we've set, and I think we've set good culture.
There's no doubt from any time that we get to talk, any time that you get to share this with our fans, that there is a passion there. There's no doubt. The long hours that you're putting in go to show that. The product goes to show that, long hours that you're putting in. When it comes to your players right now, who do you really see stepping up to help that? It's so easy to say that the whole team, but especially with the returners, what are elements of leadership that they're also bringing to the table?
Well, now here's the deal. So this is Wes Bowers was a big-time leader. He was a big vocal leader. Wes Bowers, unfortunately, is out for the season. So when you have a vocal leader that, he was in the building this week, and we had one of our coaches actually said, he's like, man, I miss that guy's energy.
Oh.
So when that energy is taken away because he's unfortunately, he's kind of bedridden, if you will. He's not able to be there every single day.
Everything has to recalibrate.
Without a doubt. So who's going to step up? Now some guys aren't vocal. Some guys lead by their actions. Some guys lead by their presence. And then some guys have to have a voice. And so we're waiting for these veteran leaders to kind of come about. And so really, you're starting to see some of these older guys like Jazeer Peterson and JT Stokes and Kyle Davis and Daytona Jackson and Tavon Grant. And so all these older guys, Bill Atkins and Ty Cromwell and Antoine Kincaid, you're starting to see these guys become more vocal because they realize, hey, there's a void that needs to be filled. And so you can't force it. You got to let it come organically. I'll do what I need to do to fill the void because I know the pieces that I need to plug in. But there are some times where you got to kind of step back and, hey, does anybody have anything to say? And you kind of just have to let the, almost like high school, you got to let the seniors be seniors, and you got to let them kind of do what they need to do to help the freshmen come along. And then meanwhile, and I'm using this, just respectfully to the guys, but like those freshmen, sophomores are starting to realize, hey, you know what? I could be that guy. And so this is what's happening now. We're week 7. If you add camp there, you're probably week 10 together, right? So whatever it might be, now you're starting to see kind of people start to kind of feel the culture is really starting to take place. And again, going back to a loss, sometimes it takes those kind of days to kind of reset your focus and, you recalibrate your why and you're like, you start to put it all together here.
And also just learn how people react in that, right?
Sure.
I'm sure for a lot of these guys who haven't played before, the non-returners, the new, to think about the fact that they haven't seen how X amount of their teammates react to that. So also seeing how they react and how those personalities can complement each other in an element of negativity.
Absolutely. Well, and then look, guys that unfortunately got suspended last game, guys that are unfortunately hurt, they couldn't be more ticked off that they weren't out there for that game because they felt like they couldn't help and they couldn't contribute. So, again, we're going to have a situation where guys are going to get healthy. Guys are going to be unsuspended. And guys that are now playing are getting the necessary experience that they need to get better. And then once everybody's healthy, now you're rocking and rolling. But until that happens, everybody's doing their job. If you're off the field and you're not healthy, you're going to be there to support your teammate. If you're suspended, you're going to be there to support your teammate. And if you're getting the necessary reps that you need to be a better player, get all the experience you need because ultimately it's going to come down to you and the coaches and the rest of the players to win these football games for us.
Only one mention on suspensions here. When can we expect them back? Remind everyone.
So, if you look at it, we're looking at they have another 2 games. So, and
back for a home game.
Without a doubt. So they'll be back for a home game versus San Antonio. They're counting down the days. You know what I mean? And we're doing everything to keep them included and just how we're talking to them and how we're communicating with them. And they know that it's no coincidence, that we just lost this game, and sometimes you lose players, and it takes kind of the energy out of it. But you don't blame it on them. You don't blame it on the injuries. We're a team, and so you don't point fingers. And so
circumstances.
Yeah, without a doubt, we're going to be better because of this. We will be a better, closer team because of this.
How can everyone, when I say everyone, fans, Panther Nation, etc., help support the team at this time for 2 away games in a row?
Well, we need you to watch the game. At the end of the day, we need you to support us on social media. Buy these jerseys. Go to our line. When we come back home, we want to see a packed crowd. I mean, that's ultimately what it is. I mean, these guys love playing.
Right.
Who doesn't love playing in front of a packed arena, packed house? And so, we need as many people in the SAP Center as possible. I mean, these are awesome games. These are really, really good athletes. And obviously, it's evident even the competition that we play. Obviously, whether we win or lose, these are.
Talk about energy. Still a great football game, right?
Without a doubt. Like,
action.
I mean, it's action packed. Whether it's a horror show or whether it's a happy ending, either way, it's action packed. So
hey, one for each side.
Without a doubt, and that's how it goes down. You win some, you lose some. I mean, we win a lot more than we do lose around here. I mean, I think that was maybe our first loss in maybe 13 or 14 games. So it says a lot about our culture. But again, to reset, recalibrate. But yeah, like social media, Bay Area Panthers Network.com, BayAreaPanthers.com, all these awesome applications that we have, please go on, support us, and come out to the games.
Now, there is something exciting that we added into the game day experience. You and I, very fortunately, get to enjoy Sushi Confidential every week.
Yes.
We're at the Morgan Hill location. Coach, did you happen to know that if we, as a home team, score 50 points or more, everyone in the stands gets a free roll from Sushi Confidential?
I did not know that. So
yes.
now that I know that.
Yes. So could we please, because we were this close last game.
Yes.
So final score, we were also, even with the loss, we were very close to getting free sushi. So
well, that's all I needed to know.
Yes.
That's all you had to tell me.
Darn
If I knew that, then
if you could let the guys know, hey, do it for the fans.
Do it for the fans.
Specifically the hungry ones.
Do it for Sushi Confidential. Let's
Yeah.
introduce everybody to sushi. I love sushi, so it's a good pairing here.
So I would like you to know that. Okay, wait, hold
Anything on this side, I'm sorry, because I'm not
Yeah.
trying to reach across the table.
on.
So I'm just working over here.
Those are peppers. How do you do with spice?
I can tell that was very hot, so I kind of stayed away.
Okay,
Especially
right
on camera, I didn't want to.
Great. So we're gonna have you end.
I'm very
some of
intentional.
those. Okay.
Yeah.
But very fun announcement there. So, tell the guys. Maybe that's my contribution. Hey, I want to let you guys know. I need you to get to 50 points because we're hungry.
That would have did it right there. We would have won the game.
Okay, I'll be at practice
Yeah.
tomorrow. I'll let them know.
Yeah.
But Coach, any words to the fans as we're going on those, other than the support of the purchasing coming to the games before we sign off here?
And thank you for everybody that has been coming to the games.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously, that means a lot to us. I mean, look, at the end of the day,
Last game was great.
Without a doubt, we know people. Look, it's hard-earned dollars. They can choose to do whatever they want with their money, and they choose to be with us. On Saturday nights. Like, that's awesome to me. So, we want to give you a great show. Thank you for everybody that's supporting us. Keep supporting us. Tell your friends, and the show goes on.
It does. Now this show is not going to go on much longer because we are also going to sign out. But we want to remind everyone the next home game, May 25th, against
the San Antonio Gunslingers. Yep.
We will be showcasing them in 2 weeks here on Inside the Jungle. Coach, thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate you. Thank you for having me.